actually going to read from a book that I wrote with my son. And it's very apropos that we sang that he's a good father right before. And this book is called Daddy, What Does Neighbor Mean? One morning, a little boy was getting ready for the third grade spelling bee at school. Together. Together. IMPORTANT, important. NEIGHBOR, neighbor. Then he thought, what does neighbor mean? So the little boy ran into his daddy's room and asked, Daddy, what does neighbor mean? What a great question, son. Let's talk about it on the way to school. In the car, the boy said, okay, Daddy, you promised. What is a neighbor? The boy's daddy smiled and said, neighbors are people. The boy looked out the window, thought for a minute. He saw a little girl riding her bike to school and asked, Daddy, is she a neighbor? Yes, of course she is. Every Friday was Donut Friday, of course, so they pulled into the gas station. The boys saw a lady pumping gas in a nice car and said, is she a neighbor? Most definitely, son. As they walked into the gas station, they saw a little man laying on the ground outside the entrance. The boy said, what about him? Is he a neighbor? Why, of course so. As they waited in line, the boy asked, what about him? Checking us out. Yes, son, most definitely. As they drove, the boy saw a big, tall building, really fancy, and he asked, what about the people that work in there? Those guys neighbors? You got it. They're neighbors, son. They drove by a hospital, and the boy said, are there neighbors in there? Yes, son. There are most definitely neighbors in there. As the boy saw some men picking up trash along the side of the road, he said, Daddy, those guys are neighbors, right? Yes, sir. Yes, sir. As they were getting close to school, the boy thought, Daddy, are you a neighbor? Yes, son, I am. As they pulled up to the front of the school, the boy's getting ready to jump out, and he paused. Looked back at his daddy. He said softly, Daddy, am I a neighbor? The daddy responds, if you choose to be. Being a neighbor is a choice. There's two things that with cleanup that we say is that all neighbors are welcome. Everybody's a neighbor. In the parable of the Good Samaritan, the attorney asked Jesus, who is my neighbor? And Jesus responds back at the end of the parable and says, you are the neighbor. Looking around, everyone is your neighbor. And then the second thing is we need to choose to be a neighbor. So cleanup, what do? Cleanup provides practical services to everyone in the community who's willing to receive. If you're willing to receive, we're willing to give. So we serve low and we serve high. Today we're collecting clothes because clothing is one of the most requested things that we get. Most of the clothing that we get goes to apartment complexes across the DFW. And it's an amazing thing that God's doing. We have a school bus that was supposed to be here today called the Cleanup Closet, but I lost power steering last night, and so it was not a safe thing to do. So we brought what we call the big house. It's my home that we invite neighbors in to take a shower. And so I just want to thank you guys for the opportunity to share that. We have some apparel out there. The apparel goes to pay for the operational cost of cleanup, the gas, tires, when things like power steering pumps go out, that's how we purchase those. So we appreciate that. There's also on the side, all of our units have chalkboard paint on the side. So we'd love for you to write a message on the side, just sharing love from this church to the community around us, all right? Thank you so much.